Morning, my name is Lori. Welcome to my channel. We are quilters. We are working on the Study in Scarlet quilt today, or this month. We will be making these two blocks this month, but today we are focusing on this block right here in this corner. Today's block is called King of the Mountain.
Last week we made these lovely 60-degree triangle units. We will be using those this week.
Don't forget to, if you are watching on any device but a television, click on the word more and get the free printable pattern right here at YouTube. Good morning, my name is Lori. Today we are finishing up this King of the Mountain block for a Study in Scarlet. Let's take a look at what we have so far. Last week I made a bonus block because I was practicing these 60-degree triangle blocks, and since I practiced, I might as well make a test block that doesn't look like anything like our block. I made 4 60-degree triangles that will fit in the 4 places along this block, top, bottom, and sides, to make this lovely circle formation. Today we are making the half square triangles, we are making the hourglass shapes, and then we are putting the entire block together. Now, I opted last week not to trim away my background behind, and that is entirely up to you, whether you trim that away or not once you square up the block. I'm letting it in there because I am not planning on hand quilting through that. Let's take a look at the parts we have left to create. I have my center fussy cut block, and I need to pair that with my 1.5 inch squares so I can do stitch and flip. Let me grab a project board here. I also have the half square triangles, so I need my 3 inch blocks, and I need to mark the backs of those. I think I'll mark on the yellow. And as you know, I love to use my Frixion pen. Now this is the cut line on these blocks. So I will sew 1/4 inch on either side. Let me pair those up, right sides together, and lay them on my board. Oh, that one does not seem to be. Somehow, it is the wrong size. Let me take care of this. I'll be back in a minute. Get rid of that line. Don't you just hate when something silly like that happens? Somehow it had a whole extra 1/4 inch. Anyway, all better now. And I can mark the line accurately. That would have been awkward if I hadn't caught that. There would have been crying. Not you, but me. So those two are ready to go. To make the hourglasses, I'm going to make half square triangles twice. Some of you may know what that means. So I'm going to mark it just like I would for a half square triangle. And then I will pair them up a second time after I cut them and press them and match them up. You will see. Some of you already know what I'm talking about. So for this one I need the background yellow and the light green, and that is also the cutting line, so I will sew 1/4 inch on each side. Let me take these to the machine and I will be back in just a few minutes to show you some more. I've returned from the sewing machine and the ironing board, and I press these open. These ones need trimmed, so I'm going to set them aside. They get trimmed to 2.5, and they will be ready to go. These are already trimmed, those lovely 60-degree triangles, ready to go. These need some more work at the sewing machine. These ones need the stitch and flip corners on the other 2 corners, and these ones need to be paired up to make them into quarter square triangles, or what I've been calling hourglasses. So I flip them with colors opposite so that they nest nicely there in the middle, and you can even put a pin in if you so desire. You don't need a pin if you're not into pinning. And I will draw another line right down through, going the opposite of my sewing from before. And I will sew on either side of this line. It is also the cut line. And when I am finished, I will have 4 hourglass or quarter square triangles. So here I am back from the ironing board. Now these have been trimmed to 2.5, and these need trimmed to 2.5. Then we will be ready to assemble our block. Let me put this on speed drill. It's time to lay out the block. I have all of the pieces here, and let's start with the center. Then I have the hourglass blocks are star points. And then the dark green points go out. And then last but not least, I have the 60-degree triangles, or square, 60-degree angle triangles. And then we are going to fill in. I am going to do the center part first, and then I'm going to fill in around. So I am going to assemble this as one section, and then I'm going to use my bigger blocks at the top and the bottom so that this is a section and this is a section, so it is easier to assemble this lovely 10-inch block, 10-inch finished block. So let me get to assembling my parts and pieces, and I will meet you back here to show you my progress. I am back from the sewing machine, and I've done my first round of sewing. I haven't pressed anything yet, but you can see that I'm starting to assemble the center so that it can become a 9 patch, and then I can add these ones and then these ones on the outside. I'll be right back after some quick pressing to talk about where I press things so that they would. So I have most of the pressing done, but I did not press these 2 outside pieces so that the top would line up here. The top and the bottom are pressed in toward the hourglass pieces. I know that may seem counterintuitive, but it will work out that way. And the center is pressed out toward the hourglass pieces. So if you're pressing toward the hourglass pieces, the top and the bottom, bigger pieces, will eventually go on better. Let me get this 9 patch finished. Have you ever do you think about lining things up to press? So these outside pieces naturally want to go toward the solid square. So that means I should press toward the center row in both cases. Hang on, I'll be right back and show you what I'm talking about. So now you can see this is pressed toward the center. These will be pressed outward. since we pressed toward the hourglass pieces, these are pressed toward the center and the top and bottom are pressed outward. So everything should nest together quite nicely as we put things together. Let me go press these outward. So I am back from pressing, and now I can go sew these two outside rows on. Do a press and come back and sew these rows on. I have added on the two extra pieces, and here is where I had a plan. Because these seams don't match a seam here, I could press these in or outward. I just happened to press them outward, but it wouldn't matter because there's nothing to match up here, only right here. So that makes this block a little easier. Let me add these two last pieces, and I'll be back to show you the finished King of the Mountain block. Here it is. The King of the Mountain block. It is 10 inches, 10 and a half in this form. It will be 10 inches in the quilt. Next week, we start Woodland Path. We will take 2 weeks to do Woodland Path because of the piecing, but here it is. I love this circle motif with the star in the middle and the fussy cut. I hope you've enjoyed making this block. See you on Friday for Blabfest. Please remember to like and subscribe.